The heat is on as those feel-like temperatures begin to climb. As we head into your Father's Day weekend, we're on your side with when we're expecting showers too, and if that'll cool us down.
Fingers crossed, and we take a deep dive into Tornado Alley and how it could likely be shifting.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome in. Like you gotta go.
I know, it was like a dramatic pause. Welcome to Weather Extra. It's the Lauren and Tania show tonight, right?
It sure is. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Weather every 6 minutes.
It's every 6 minutes.
And now we've got a 30-minute weather show. So if you didn't catch the forecast every 6 minutes,
you can catch it now for 30 minutes.
And we're going more in depth, that little extra something.
Absolutely.
So, Tania, honestly, it hasn't felt too awful outside.
But it's only getting hotter, Lauren.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
And that's really the next big thing that we're talking about. Take a look here. We'll talk about the next 24 hours first. And as we bring in your night tonight, we'll stay dry. We'll watch a few clouds around, but we're actually going to see some clearing of those skies as we approach the later nighttime hours. Here we are by 9 p.m. for your Wednesday. Looking at those temperatures in the 70s and upper 60s. We're going to still see those winds generally out of the north, but we're going to start to see winds shifting out of the south and southeast as we approach your Thursday. We bring in your Thursday morning, 7 a.m. with those easterly winds, notice, and they're slightly coming from the south and east. Temperatures early Thursday, mild, upper 60s, lower 70s, a little bit warmer for your Thursday morning than we were this morning, but that's the big story over the next several hours, really into Father's Day weekend, is that we're seeing those hotter temperatures. So let's talk about your Thursday afternoon. We bring in the 3 o'clock hour for your Thursday, seeing more temps in the upper 80s and low 90s, 90 degrees in Tuscaloosa, 91 in Jefferson County. It's going to be a pretty hot afternoon, so make sure you're drinking your water, staying hydrated, and layering on that sunscreen so you can protect your skin from those UV rays. It's going to be a hot day Thursday, but we've got even hotter days ahead of us. I just also want to talk about Thursday as well. There could be a stray shower around for your Thursday evening. Here we are at 6 p.m. There's Etowah County seeing a shower. Greatest rain chance is going to be areas east of I-65. We'll stay mostly dry, so you don't really need to be concerned about any rain for tomorrow. The big story is the heat. Future heat index values, notice it could easily feel like the mid to upper 90s for your Thursday. By Friday, upper 90s, maybe some spots in the triple digits, but we'll likely or more likely see those triple digit heat index values as we bring in Saturday, Sunday, and then we could see a little bit of heat relief as we approach early next week. And that's also our time period where we're looking a little more unsettled and we could see a shower or so in the forecast. But as we break down the next big thing a little bit more, we are cranking up the heat. And the reason why is we're going to see a high pressure build in to central Alabama. And we're going to start to see moisture building in from the south. All that warmer air is going to filter in for central Alabama. So it's bringing us a little bit of more moisture in the air as well. And that's going to rise those humidity levels and make those feel like temperatures higher as well. A reminder that we have that code orange in effect, that air quality alert for Jefferson and Shelby County again tomorrow through at least 5:45 p.m. A first alert, though, for heat this week. And we are also watching the tropics that we'll tell you more about right here on Weather Extra.
Thanks, Tania. Well, while we're dry here in our area in central Alabama, parts of Florida are experiencing the complete opposite. A flash flood emergency has been issued across South Florida as a tropical disturbance, one that we're tracking here in the First Alert Weather Center, moves across the Florida Peninsula. The heavy rainfall expected to continue over the next day or two. Yesterday, the city of Sarasota setting a new record for seeing almost 4 inches of rain in just 1 hour. This means they almost got a month's worth of rainfall in just one day. Their average rainfall for the whole month of June is a little over 7 inches. So 7 inches may seem like a lot of rainfall, but I wanted to show you actually the 24-hour rainfall totals across South Florida that we have seen. So we just mentioned 7 inches. Look at some of these radar estimates along the drive from Naples to Fort Lauderdale, over 13 inches of rain. So if you do the math, It's over a foot of rain that fell within 24 hours. And unfortunately, you can see that's along one of the major interstates down there. Certainly causes some issues. And you'll also notice around Miami and up towards Fort Lauderdale, that's where an estimated 16 inches of rain has fallen over the past 24 hours. What you want to be mindful of is that in these areas where all of this heavy rain has fallen, urban areas, so you have a lot of concrete, a lot of pavement. We see often here in Birmingham, we have issues with flash flooding because it just can't absorb all of that water, Tania.
Thanks, Lauren. As we continue to talk about the historic tornado season so far, this year, there is new research indicating a new tornado alley is forming, meaning that the shift to the east now includes the states of Louisiana, Mississippi, and you guessed it, Alabama. Meteorologist J.P. Dice spoke with Dr. Tim Coleman, one of the scientists responsible for this research.
All right, Dr. Tim Coleman's with us, and we're talking about the tornado threat actually shifting more from the traditional Great Plains part of the United States, more toward Dixie Alley, where we live. A few years ago, we had an interview very much like this, talking about that growing threat in the Southeast. Now you have more evidence to support that this is actually happening with new research that's being published that you've done.
Right. Initially, back in 2014, I did some research with Grady Dixon over at Mississippi State University that showed that if you look at path length of tornadoes from the 1970s through 2011, I think it was, that most of the path length was in the Southeast. This time, I got along with Rich Thompson at SPC, and Greg Ford was formerly on television. Also, we looked at tornado genesis numbers, tornado days, tornado path length, and we broke it up into two periods, one from 1951 to 85, one from 1986 to 2020. And there was a clear shift. Whereas before we thought it had always been that way. There was a clear shift from the Great Plains, the classic tornado alley back in the 1950s and 60s, toward the Southeast in more recent decades.
The other thing is, why would we have a shift here? Why would we see this kind of shift to the east? Any theories, anything that you're thinking?
That's a great question. I've bantered back and forth with my colleagues at Weatherbell about why this might be happening. There are these multi-decadal oscillations in the ocean with temperature. That could play a role in it. You know, it's not just El Nino and La Nina. There are things that are 30 and 40-year cycles in the Atlantic and the Pacific. It could be that. It could be a number of things. We're really not sure. In the paper, you know, we kind of skirt around that and say, well, it could be this or that, but we're just looking at the data of what has happened. And it is clear that from that 1950s, 60s, and 70s time frame, you know, when the tornado alley was definitely placed correctly in the Great Plains, it shifted and is now basically from southern Mississippi across northern Alabama and middle Tennessee.
Fascinating research, of course, this being published in the Journal of Applied Meteorology. So appreciate your time, Dr. Tim Coleman, with us today here on Weather Extra.
Well, welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Hopefully you're enjoying your Wednesday. Here's a look at those current temperatures across central Alabama. The cloudier skies are mainly east of I-65, but most of us are looking at those temps in the 80s still. 86 in Tuscaloosa, 87 in Pickens. A very hot evening. We still got those temperatures hanging on in the 80s for us over at least the next hour or two. But here's a look at that evening forecast. If you have plans tonight, we'll stay dry. A great evening to take a stroll. We'll see temperatures in the lower 80s around 8 o'clock and around 9 p.m. finally hitting the upper 70s. Winds will continue to come out of the north, shifting out of the northeast just around 5 to 10 miles per hour. But your Thursday, guys, it's looking hot. We'll talk more about just how much hotter your Thursday afternoon highs will be, plus those rising heat index levels in our 7-day forecast in just a couple of minutes. Lauren?
Thanks, Tania. Well, as you said, with the summer heat cranking up, most of you will be headed out for some fun in the sun. But before you do that, it's important to make sure your skincare routine includes some sun protection. Today, we're joined by Dr. Corey Hartman of Skin Wellness Dermatology here in Homewood to tell us how we can best arm ourselves against the summer heat. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Hartman.
Thank you for having me. So the most important thing you want to realize is that the sun's rays are most intense between the hours of 10 and 2. So during that time, you want to take as much precaution as possible. Try to seek shade as much as you can. But before you leave the house, always apply an SPF of at least 30 to 50. That is where studies show that we can prevent premature aging, prevent skin cancers, and also help with any discoloration issues that you may be having.
So we talked about making sure you're wearing sunscreen, especially. What is the SPF that you would recommend?
Yes, so studies show that between 30 and 50 gets you 97 to 99% protection against those harmful UV rays that cause precancers, skin cancers, premature aging, wrinkles, all those things that nobody wants to happen on their skin.
I've seen a lot too. There seems to be a trend where there's not just the sunscreen that you're wearing, but also protective clothing that actually has SPF built into it.
Absolutely. It's actually called ultraviolet protective factor, UPF, that's built into the clothing, and I'm told that they are very cool and they reflect the rays of the sun. And other steps you can take are sunglasses, hats, and just making sure that you try to find shade as much as you can.
And I think sometimes people can be fooled. You know, the past couple days, the humidity's been lower. So it's like, okay, the sun's out, but it's not that hot. And then you have a cloudy day and it's like, oh, well, it's not that bad. We still don't want to let our guard down, right?
Absolutely not. That's why I tell people, if you get in the habit of using the sunscreen every day, you never have to get prepared. Overcast days can be the most dangerous because the sun's rays are still coming through, but you don't have that trigger to tell you to get out of the sun. And you think, hey, I'm fine, and you're really not.
And you know, that's just day-to-day safety. But if someone is concerned, maybe they have a spot on their skin, what are the signs of skin cancer?
Absolutely. So we have a little mnemonic that we use in dermatology, the ABCDs of skin cancer. You want to look for asymmetry. So if the mole is not looking the same on both sides, look at the border. If it's not nice and smooth, starts to look jagged, growing in one direction or the other, their circumference should be, the color should be all one color. So you don't want it to be different colors. And then the diameter. If it's bigger than 6 millimeters, it's probably cause for concern.
So is there a way to reverse sun damage? Because I know maybe, let's say decades ago, sunscreen and sun safety maybe wasn't as popular as it was now.
Absolutely. So sun protection, sunscreen didn't really become popular until 1981. And that's when it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was popular, that's when it was first made available. So yes, once you have developed those sun signs of damage, you can reverse them with lasers. There are topical creams that can help, and even some injections that can help to erase some of those signs.
Well, I was just saying, you know, I'm still trying to find a dermatologist here in Birmingham. So how convenient that you were here this evening. And what great advice too, because my goodness, Tania was just showing us the next few days are going to be a little bit sweltering.
They're going to be scorchers.
They are. Well, Dr. Hartman, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. We'd love to have you back. So
anytime.
We may have to give you a key to the building.
I would love it.
Well, coming up next on First Alert Weather Extra, we continue to track that building heat into Father's Day weekend and have an update on the tropics. We'll be right back.
Thank
you so much.
You made that very easy. Nice.
Oh my gosh, he was amazing. I'm like, okay, now hold on. That's not what I meant. Yeah, oh my gosh. Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. We're joined now by meteorologist Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson as they explain those summertime hazards from air quality to high UV indexes.
Well, we had a code orange air quality alert today.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of hazards in summertime. You know, you think it's hot and sunny, but the sun, the air quality, that can all be an issue for us.
Yeah, the air can get kind of stagnant, and you know, Birmingham sits kind of down in a little valley there, kind of traps in some of the pollutants sometimes. So Birmingham, Jefferson County, code orange ozone alert, and that's just slightly unhealthy, especially people that have breathing problems like asthma, things like that. You need to take it easy outside.
Yeah, normally we're in that good to moderate range, and there's usually no an alert for that. But when it hits that orange category and beyond that, that's when you really got to worry about it. So it's really just the unhealthy sensitive group. So you've got respiratory illnesses, asthma, definitely want to limit your time outdoors. When you get into that red and beyond, it becomes unhealthy for everybody. And a lot of the times in the summertime, you have very stagnant air, not a lot of air movement. You get the heat and the pollution from the cities in Shelby and in Jefferson County sort of traps it in, and it creates that haze in the sky and reduces that air quality. So it's definitely something we monitor late in the spring and going into the summer months. But of course, today's a code orange, and this is just one of our models sort of projecting what it could be like for tomorrow and the next couple of days with the air quality. And I wouldn't doubt that we're going to see that code orange probably get extended for several days just because there's just not much movement in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it looks like at least Jefferson County has a code orange for tomorrow. And beyond that, we get into the next few days, it looks like that bad air shifts a little further to the east.
It's a possibility. We'll just have to continue to monitor it because these forecasts could shift and change a little bit. But notice like Atlanta, lots of people there, big city, you're going to have that code orange continuing there going into the weekend. And that moderate air quality continues across Alabama. Notice maybe code orange for parts of southern, southwestern portions of the state. But not only do we have to worry about the air quality, we have to worry about the heat, but we also have to worry about the sun itself, Mickey.
Yeah, those sun's rays can get extreme with the UV index forecast. We're looking at 11s, Matt, and that starts to get pretty serious.
Yeah, because you can see that scale on the top. It goes from 1 to 11 plus, and so that's extreme. So what does that mean, Mickey?
Well, you just need to protect yourself. You could really suffer from sun exposure, get some sunburn, and you want to apply that SPF 15 plus every couple of hours if you're going to be outside overexerting yourself, because just the sweat itself could cause some of that stuff. Well, you just need to reapply it.
Yeah, every 2 hours, and really, if you're like me, I burn pretty quickly just because of my fair skin. So yeah, probably want to avoid it in the peak heating of the day in the mid and late afternoon hours. But always a good idea to have that sun protective clothing, hat and sunglasses. I know you wear that. You probably had that last week when you were at the beach.
I still got sunburned.
Still got it.
I had a hat on with a shirt on, and I was under the beach umbrella and still got sunburned with the sun reflecting off the sand.
Yeah, and that's a good reminder too. If you're going to be out in the lake or the pool, it's going to reflect off the water as well sometimes, and that can get you to burn easily too. So just take it easy and stay hydrated if you're going to be outside for the next several days.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Matt and Mickey. And they were just talking about that code orange air quality alert that's been in effect today. But in case you missed it, it has been extended into tomorrow as well, which is no surprise. The air is really stagnant, stale. You almost just hope for a little breeze to come along and move things along, but not going to be happening over the next 24 hours. So if you are in those sensitive groups, if you have something like COPD, asthma, just as Matt and Mickey were saying, try to limit your time outdoors if you live in Jefferson or Shelby County in those more metro areas. So for that pool forecast for tomorrow, of course, be mindful if you are in those sensitive groups. But I really think the big thing tomorrow, you'll notice we got a 10% chance of rain, as Tania was talking about, with potentially seeing those east-southeast winds in place in East Alabama. But I think most of us are going to end up being dry. The big story is the heat. Tomorrow, a lot of us will get on the other side of that 90-degree mark. So as we were just talking about with skin wellness dermatology, make sure you're wearing that sunscreen and just build it into your habit. You don't need it just for the pool. You need it 365 days a year. And once you go to the Barons baseball game tomorrow night, it's not going to be as hot once we see first pitch at 7 p.m. But you got to make sure you're staying hydrated. It's Thursday, and you see even at 7 o'clock, temperatures are likely still going to be in the 80s. Now, as we look ahead to Father's Day weekend, you think it gets hot tomorrow? Saturday, Sunday, pretty rough. I mean, we're not quite in the dog days of summer, but I look at this and I say, woof. So mid-upper 90s, and we do have that 20% chance of some isolated showers and storms as we get into Sunday. And one reason we want to be watching the tropics is because of this disturbance down in South Florida, but there's also another area that could potentially have some tropical development as we get into next week in the southern Gulf of Mexico. So that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see a tropical system coming towards us, but we could see potentially increasing tropical moisture. We see the reds and purples here. That shows that increasing moisture moving west. We could eventually get in on some of those higher humidity values that at least could bring us a chance of some showers or storms. So as we look at that 7-day forecast here, the big story over the next few days is that building heat. A first alert for it really cranking up into the mid to upper 90s, and then especially as we head into the weekend and get into next week with those climbing humidity values, that's when we could really see those feels like temperatures getting pretty toasty too. But what about beyond the 7-day? We are early on in hurricane season, Tania, but how are rain chances looking beyond that 7-day forecast?
Well, there's a good mix across really the whole U.S., Lauren. June 18th through June 22nd. We could be seeing some states near average, other states above average, maybe the East Coast more below average rainfall. But as we zoom in here across central Alabama, it's a mix for us too, anywhere from below average rainfall to near average, and then down towards the coast, more above average rainfall. So there's still chances for us to see rain, but we may be more on the average side on where we would be at this time of year. Now, I do want to show you guys this temperature outlook as we look 6 to 10 days out from now. Take a look at this. As we look at our temperatures June 18th through June 22nd, notice all that red across the U.S. And what does that mean? It means above average temperatures for most of the United States. And that means we could be cranking up the heat. I believe our average at this time of the year is in the 80s, and we're already seeing temperatures in the 90s as we approach your Father's Day weekend. So be mindful of the rising heat, and once again, make sure you're practicing heat and sun safety. Well, I took a trip to Walker County today, and it's one I will never forget. I visited.
Hi, I'm Abigail Carrington, and this is your weather forecast for today. This week, our sunrise will be at 5:36 a.m.
I joined Maddox Intermediate Girl Power STEM Camp earlier today to teach the young girls about meteorology and what it's like to be an on-air meteorologist, and that was them practicing their on-air skills. I read my children's book to teach severe weather safety, and they gave me the 7-day forecast. Nothing but smiles and science. Who says learning can't be fun? Thank you to Drew Phillips, Beth Baker, Hannah Watts, and Patrick Hanna for inviting me out. And thank you, Walker County, for the warm welcome. And I'm gonna put on this t-shirt real quick to show off. Well, you know, we're gonna put it on like this. Bam! What you think, Lauren? I'm a STEM girl. Hey! We'll be right back. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra. We'll see you right here after the break.
That's cute. What are the little things on?
Welcome back, guys. I got my bling on.
Yeah, we had a little wardrobe change during the break. It's so cute.
Thank you, Walker County. We'll have your forecast updates tonight, first at 9. See you guys then.